Hey people, welcome to the Photo Mama podcast. Conversations on all things motherhood, photography and life. I'm Ikoja Mercy Haruna, but you can call me Mercy. I'm a photographer and a mom of two beautiful babies.
And I'm Elsie Kifuengare. I'm also a photographer and a mom of two. In today's podcast, we are pleased to welcome Mumbi Muturi, a versatile artist who happens to be a photographer, director, and a painter based in Nairobi, Kenya. Her journey to becoming an established artist was far from conventional, fueled by an unwavering determination to perfect her craft and express her storytelling passion through both the lens and canvas. It all began with Mumbi's self-taught exploration of the fundamentals. A pivotal moment crystallized during a transformative camping trip alongside fellow Kenyan photographers. This experience taught her to view her work with a discerning and detached eye. From there, Mumbi embarked on a journey of artistic experimentation, resulting in her striking tarot image series and a dedicated focus on harnessing the profound power of human emotion through her visual storytelling. Through her mastery of light manipulation, Mumbi skillfully draws out the very essence of her subjects, showcasing their souls with refined interplay of contrast. Her work delves deeper into dynamic between humanity and its surroundings, exploring the poignant interplay between people and nature. Resilience and strength radiate from her images, whether in stillness or motion. The bold use of color serves as a metaphor for the profound emotions in the human condition. Mumbi's exceptional talent has garnered recognition, with her photography and watercolor paintings gracing the walls of the esteemed One-Off Gallery in Nairobi, Kenya. Additionally, she is a proud member of influential communities such as African women photographers, Black women photographers, and is a featured photographer in the Diversify Photo Up Next initiative. Furthermore, Mumbi's remarkable contributions have been acknowledged by the Adobe Stock Development Fund, a testament to her impact in the world of visual storytelling. You can explore more of her work in her website, which will be shared in the show notes. Mumbi is a stay-at-home mom with 4 kids and several dogs. Have I got that wrong?
Full house.
Am I right?
Several. I think I've added a cat. I think there's a cat that I've added.
Wow.
But we'll talk about that later. Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast, Mumbi.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Is there anything in that introduction that's almost butchered that I missed?
No, you did really well. I wish there was more that you were saying. I feel like I've been in a slump for a year, and I feel like if things had happened, we'd have had more things to say.
Yeah.
But no, it's good. I've done good. I've done good so far.
Good.
I'm proud of
you.
myself. But you know, with us, the minute you edit the image and you share it,
on to the
that's
next.
it. You need to know what you're doing. Yeah. So I'm on to the next. Finally doing more
But
work.
it's also good to take stock of what you've done, because until you know what you've done, it helps you to know where you're going next.
I think the difficulty is social media, isn't it? I mean, for me, the difficulty is social media, because I went out like a week ago and it was the strangest strange. Anyway, I had ordered my food. I was sitting by myself. And I was on the phone when some guy just came and sat down, It was like an open seating area. So he just sat down on the sofa next to me. And when I was done, I kind of glanced at him and he looked away. So I was like, okay. And then he came back and he said, I'm a big fan. And you know what I immediately thought? I thought, fan of what? I haven't posted anything this year. What are you a fan of? You're a fan of 2022. Okay, it's terrible, because that's how I it's really strange. That's how I value myself. It's or value my work, or my worth as a photographer is, what have you seen of mine lately? If you come and tell me, oh, I love what you did 3 years ago, I'm like, I really need to work. Yeah.
But that's not the case. That's not how it works. It's still part of you.
I think so. I think it's a body of work, and I need to kind of wrap my head around that, because it was very sweet. He was very sweet. He was very kind. He was really my fan, which I find very confusing. But yeah, I need to change the way I think about what I do, the work that I do, and the impact that it has. Because if I don't see, 2,000 likes and it hasn't gone viral, then what impact has, which is ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. But anyway, so I'm learning. I think we're all learning.
But we'll get to that as in later on when we're speaking more about your work and your journey. I'll kick off by asking you, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your motherhood story?
Hey, I've got a long motherhood story. Okay, I have 4 kids. The oldest is Maya, who's 24. Olaitan, who's 20 now. Zahara is going to be 15, and Sakai is going to be 17. So I've been doing this for a while. I was a stay-at-home mom. I worked a little bit with Maya, but when Olaitan was born, I stayed at home. I was convinced, as we often are convinced, to stay at home. And I was convinced to stay at home with the 2 kids. So, and then I think when Zahara was born, I was like, I need to do something, I think the idea of stay-at-home mothers, in that sense, the idea that you're just sitting at home taking care of the kids, I believe is a very un-African concept.
Okay. Because
African women, we have always worked. It doesn't matter, and we have always worked. So I think it was a struggle. It was really good for the kids, and they're still kind of confused as to why I'm not where they left me until today. Like Mama will always be on that sofa doing whatever it is, or in the kitchen cooking for us, or checking our homework and stuff like that. I mean, they're too big, but anyway. But I think it's good for them, but I also think that it's not great for moms. So I started baking cakes. I think that was the first. I tried other things over the time, but cakes was the easiest thing because I could just be in my kitchen and I could cook at home, I could bake at home. I went to the school of Google and YouTube to learn how to ice cakes and do all that. And I did that for almost 8 years. And then there was a website that I used to follow. I loved her cakes and I wanted to be able to ice and frost and fill and make gorgeous cakes like her. But her pictures were really good, And this was before our iPhones. Our phones could take that gorgeous picture, So I think my husband had a digital camera that kind of pretended to be an SLR. And I was kind of learning with that and trying to take pictures. And then he gifted me. He bought me a DSLR camera, basically to take pictures of my cakes, which I did. And surprisingly, I can't find a single one. You weren't a photographer if you threw away all your pictures. You know what I mean? I was so done with making cakes. I was like, I don't want to see them anymore. Anyway, and then it kind of moved from there where I was kind of getting completely burnt out with cakes. The kids were getting older. I had a lot more freedom to kind of do my own thing. And they were my first photography. They were my first subjects. They were my first portraits I took with them. The things that were not portraits were taken in my garden. And I think that's why it features a lot, like green features a lot in my images, because I always want the garden to be there and the faces to be there, and because I think we're more beautiful outside than we are inside. You know what I mean? Inside the house, the light, the sunlight, and how it works on us and the world. And then I went on a crazy, crazy camping trip with people who I didn't know, men. And they were photographers. And I said, okay, let me go and see if this is a thing. And I loved camping, which I didn't think I was going to like. I made friends and I took myself seriously as a photographer while leaving my kids here. But by that time I had moved kind of back home. So I was next door to my mom. And so I think that's also why I felt like I could move a little around a lot. And for my mom, she lived vicariously through me on the camping trip. So when I would get home, she would sorry.
It's okay, take your time. No worries.
She would, I'd have to give her my camera and she would go through every single one of the pictures. She really loved my camping trips. She really did. And it's interesting, since she passed, I think I've been on we did one camping trip and I said that's for my mom. And then I haven't gone camping again. So interesting. Yeah, I guess she doesn't need camping anymore. She's on the other side where they don't camp. Yeah.
So
but that's basically it.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I feel like I want to say sorry for your loss. I don't know how long it's been.
It was 3 years ago. It was during COVID, just before we went into lockdown. She passed. Yeah.
So sorry about that.
Thanks.
Yeah, sorry.
It's just it's just a trigger, you know. I
get it.
You know, and then I remember, she really loved it. She used to give me her car. She loved me going camping. It was so strange. She was an interesting person. I think she would have loved to live a life that changed as much as mine did, you know. And I'm glad I'm living that life.
Yeah, you're doing it for her.
I'm doing it for her. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah, so my kids are still, Maya's a singer, so I've done most of her headshots and then also directed her music videos. And we were going through old YouTube when I would, oh my goodness, it was ages ago. She used to do these covers, and I would video them and we would, you know, I'd direct and everything. So my kids really have been a full part of my photography journey. They were there from the beginning, and they're still there now. Yeah, it's wonderful.
That's beautiful. And we'll touch on your directing later on in this podcast, because I really want to get into that, because it's beautiful.
So balancing the demands of motherhood with a thriving photography career must have been quite a juggling act. Can you share how you managed that? You've already sort of made reference to the fact that your mom being next door kind of helped you to feel like you could make that transition and start traveling more and doing all that. So share with us some of how you managed all that, you know.
Like, it's really weird when I think about it, because I must have been I think that in the West it's more of a juggle, but here at home, you know, I have Josephine, who is my sometimes husband, sometimes wife. It depends whether she's listening or not. So when she listens, she's my nanny, who has been here 16 years. She came to work for me when I was pregnant with Zahara. So she's like a second mom to the kids. She runs the house. She knows where everything's at. She handles everything. So I don't know if it was that much of a juggle. And also, they were a little bit older, so we could communicate on text, or I can call them from where I am. Because a lot of the stuff that I really started to do started quite recently. It was just 2019, I think, is when everything started picking up.
So how old was your youngest at that point?
10.
Okay.
She was 10. Yeah.
So quite independent.
And well, are they ever independent?
Good point.
I mean, I don't think I was independent to my mom, you know, until 3 years ago. And I'm still asking her to sort things out for me, you know. So I think with mothers, you're never independent. But I must say that I was never that hands-on mom. Like, we didn't do homework together. You know, I remember a friend who was a teacher said homework is to confirm whether the child understood what happened in class. So if you help them with the homework, then how will the teacher know they didn't get it in class? So I was like, did you manage to do your homework? No. Why? Didn't understand it. Okay, go talk to your teacher. You know what I mean?
Right.
Honestly, I do the same.
I'm not your teacher.
I'm not. You know, unless there's an issue that has arisen at school, then I'm a lion. You know, then I'm there. Then I'm, you know, making sure. You know, if it's something that the child wants to do and they need my support, then I'm there. You know, if it's swimming or if it's, you know, the clubs and stuff like that, I'm there. But on a day-to-day, we're just hanging out. You know, they come home. You know, I'll cook, or, you know, if I'm not here, Josephine would cook. You know, 2 of my kids don't live here with me. 2 of my kids, the youngest 2, live in Qatar. My son is kind of moved out, and my daughter is independent. So me, I'm a empty nester.
Oh, wow.
This girl over here who's managing, I don't know what she's doing.
Your fur babies. Oh, what are they called?
Yeah, my fur babies. There's Poppy over here, and she hears her name and she looks up.
Oh.
But yeah, I've never been that. So I think the juggle has never been like an extreme thing. I'm not available if the kids need me. I'm available if they don't. You know, if they need me. You know, like me. I've always just kind of managed. And a lot of the work that I do, my kind of personal photography, is done here. So they're helping. They're the ones who are changing lens. You know, give me my other lens, give me my 50, give me my 35. You know, so we kind of all move together as like a school of fish. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, so I don't feel like I've really had to juggle. I feel like, yeah.
So maybe there's something to be said for starting later when the kids are a bit older, and I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think there's something to be said about changing it every 5 years. So that you're doing something new, you know.
Yeah.
Because they were there during my whole cake journey and they loved it. And, you know, they miss the cakes for a little while, but they don't crave it as much. And, you know, now Zahara, my youngest, wants to sit in front of the camera. She wants to be the model, you know. She wants. So I just kind of carry them along in a way, I guess. I don't know if it makes sense, but I never felt like there was a juggle because I was never fully working when they were infants or toddling.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. I'm trying to remember. I think. Yeah, so, and I've mostly worked from home.
Okay.
So I've always worked from home. Yeah. So it might have been different if I wasn't working from home.
I was going to ask you, like, how has being a mom influenced your perspective and approach to photography? But I think you kind of touched on that because you started your journey with your kids all constantly around you.
Yeah.
So I guess we can move on to talking about some of your work. Like your whole juxtaposition of humanity and nature is a recurring theme in your work. Like, what draws you to explore this dynamic, and what do you hope viewers take away from these compositions?
It's almost like I don't even think about it because, okay, so I started my journey just natural light, no strobing, no lights, no nothing. And natural light meant I was outside in the garden, you know, and I've got a beautiful garden here. And I think that's how nature came into it. And like I said before, I think that we're more beautiful in nature than we are outside of it. I think a lot of my images, a lot of what I try to capture is the person themselves. You know, them.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes me a while, you know, kind of chatting, you know, lying and say I'm testing the light, or lying and I'm testing, you know, the camera, or I'm not quite sure, and, you know, talk to somebody so that I can catch them when they are them.
Yeah.
Them.
When the mask is off.
You know what I mean? When the mask is off. I don't know if I'm still doing that. I think that I still am. Because I remember at the beginning people would look at the images and be like, that really looks like me. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, I got it, you know, because I really want to see that. Because we do tend to wear a lot of masks. And I think that outside, if you're sitting in grass, or you're sitting, you know, and the leaves are kind of moving around, the mask kind of slips off and we become part of nature.
Yeah, I think I picked up like a meditative vibe from your images, because as in like you
Really?
said, when you're in nature you have this calming feeling around you, like you just want to be in a mode of stillness,
Yeah.
of calmness,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
soaking it all in.
Yeah.
So I think that's when people like sit there and they're like, okay, she's testing the light, just gonna sit here and relax and enjoy this.
Yeah.
And then you get it.
And then you get it.
And then I get it. I'm like, oh, I got it.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes we'll be there for like 20 minutes and I'm tired because I found out from a friend that I hold my breath for every shot. So I get tired really quickly, you know, and now as I'm getting older, the back is not so loose. But, you know, I'm like, hey, I've really sweated. But now is when we're kind of getting it. Now we're kind of coming together. Now she's, you know, he's feeling more comfortable and now it's coming in. And you have to find a second wind, you know. You have to find a second wind because all the way at the end is where you're going to get your shots. You know, the ones, you know, not the clinically good, but the one where you, the camera, and me are all together and we've created something. Yeah.
Magic.
That I get. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
question I wanted,
But I think that's why I love it.
yeah, the follow-up question I wanted to ask on that is, how do you get people to collaborate with you when you're taking these images?
I don't know, there was a time when I just had juju where people collaborate in the image or collaborate just people just wanting to collaborate with me.
Both.
I think I just ask. When I was doing the tarot series, it's just like every single tarot card would come. I'd be like, would you mind? You know, and they would be willing to sit for me. And it just seems so effortless. And somehow it would come together. Okay, there was only one time when, so I was thinking about this the other day, when I used to be mad when it came to this tarot. Because I would say, I'm going to do 3 cards today, which was just insanity. So I think I was doing the Devil, Chariot, and the World. All 3 of them on one day. And it was madness. It was madness. I don't even know what I was doing. It was madness. But I think I was young and foolish. This was like 3 years ago. But you know, I think that there might have been 2 cards that maybe didn't want to be shot on the same day. Like, energetically didn't want to be shot on the same day, because I shot JPEG, which I had never done. But when I got the images out to the camera, I was like, these are not raw. Okay, I'll never do that again. And I never did it again. I was like, if energetically it's going to change my raws to JPEGs, then... But I think the energy of each card would come and it would sit in front of me and I would see it and it would be done. You know, I'm reworking 2 of my tarot cards.
Yeah.
When I feel like sharing my images of the major arcana especially, and I'm going through them, and there was 2 that three, maybe 3. I've reworked 2. Now when when I can look back and I can think, what did I want to say? So you might see 2 new, I think Death and Justice.
Okay.
No, Judgment. Those 2, I've reworked them. Yeah. But people just come. And they will get in my DMs and say, please, I want you to do my portrait. And I'd be like, okay, let me think of a project.
Okay.
And then something will pop up and I'll remember them and I will say, okay, would you like to come and sit with me? The World, it was a lady who I have mutual friends with, but we've never met. But she just asked, please, I'm shooting my shot. And I was like, okay, let me think. And then it came to me that she was going to be Wheel of Fortune. And she came and she brought all her ancestors and it was beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. I need a new project like that. I need ancestors to come again. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, would you say then that this tarot project is one of your favorites? It sounds like it.
It is.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Okay, I can put it this way. It was my journey. It was the thing that as I was learning, it's the one that has taken me, I think, to a certain point. And now I need a new kind of project to take me to the next point. Yeah, because it taught me a lot about how to interact with people, how to create sets, how to think about makeup, how to think about who works, why do they work, you know, that kind of intuitive. I think it's intuitive, but it's a muscle that you need to work on, right? And I think the tarot, the major arcana, was really that thing for me. It really was my school of hard knocks, you know, because there's some that are in the bin, they're in the trash. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Somebody might have felt that they would do well under this card, and the card said no. So, and you know, so, yeah. So
that's really interesting. But when I was going through your website, I didn't see the project on there. Is there a reason for that?
It should be there. It's not there. It is.
No.
Is it not there?
We're all kind of scrambling now to confirm.
It's there. It's not there. I'm so glad when I put Mumbi, my website comes up first.
Yeah.
It's in.
Is it there?
It's.
Or did I miss it? Because I was expecting to see the title of the project.
First one. It's in Hope.
Hope.
It's in Hope.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's Create, Explore, and Hope. And then About Me, so it's in Hope.
Honestly, everyone who's listening right now, go look at this. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Like
find it on the website.
Yeah, we'll leave the details in the show notes, so please go and look at her work. Amazing.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to separate and put my hope projects separately. Yeah, my hopefulness ones.
Do you do a lot of self-portraiture?
I have, since my mom passed. For some reason, it has been a thing. Like, I have 2 projects in my head that are just me. Yeah, I don't like my picture to be taken. I think there's only one person. Is there? Yeah, just one person that I kind of trust to take my picture that I'll show. But yeah, my grief series is very much about just me shooting me. My self-portraits are about me being alone. So, you know, there can be nobody else there. So, yeah, I have started. I've got 2 more projects. You reminded me that I'm hiding from, because I always feel like these projects are going to be so much work, and then they're not. And then they're not. So I just need to start it. Yeah, but those are the only self-portraits that I do, which is part of my grief series. And it's grief, you know, there's my mom passing, which, you know, but also the same 2020, my kids moved. My 2 youngest moved to live with their father in Doha, Qatar. And that I was in a daze for a year. You know, I really felt like completely off center. So it's almost about, it's grieving a world, but it's also welcoming this kind of new chapter of me alone. You know, not lonely, well, sometimes lonely, but alone, you know. So it's kind of, yeah. So those are my self-portraits. They're more introspective. They're not, you know, I can't do a selfie to save my life. Just good.
I love self-portraits. I did them for a long time, and some of them never saw daylight, but that's okay. They're about self-exploration, right? But I haven't done them in a long time, and I feel like looking at your images now, I really want to
Let's do it.
Yeah,
we should have a WhatsApp group where we nudge each other. You also did a lot of self-portraits, didn't you, Elsie?
Yeah, it's something that I started exploring. Like, I think like you, I wanted to do them by myself. I make sure there's no one in the house, even my husband, because he can be nosy. He can be somewhat annoying. Like even without him saying anything, just being in the space, just him breathing wrong will be like, oh, he's putting me off doing the work. like the profile image on my about page is a self-portrait. And yeah, when I did that, I was really like in a zone where I was confused on what to do. But it was part of my 30-day photo project.
Yeah.
The kanga was the object that I was using.
Yeah.
So I was figuring out ways to use this cloth, this lasso. Or not the kanga, it's a lasso. Two different cloths. The lasso was the object. And I was figuring out ways of how to use it on myself.
Yeah.
And yeah, that moment, I actually kind of enjoyed it. Kind of enjoyed doing the self-portraiture. And now looking at your work, I really want to take it outside. I did some outside with Mercy. Mercy helped me on one.
Yeah.
She just held the camera.
Yeah. We should do that
just
more.
held the camera directing the whole thing.
Yeah.
But and I enjoyed the outside one, by the way.
It's really interesting because it seems that self-portraits are always about something going on, right? While you can have fun with other people, like self-portraits really make you think about. Yeah, I was, I can't remember. Carrie Mae Williams? Is she the one who did the kitchen table series?
Yes.
Is that her?
Yes.
Okay, I'm so proud of myself.
Well done.
Well done. But I wanted to do something kind of similar, but it's just me and my dogs. But then I realized that I have to set up the table, and then the camera can't move because I really wanted to get that shot, at different times of day, and maybe eating by my, just what life feels like to me now, which is not. It's not bad.
Yeah.
I just go and then I make myself a steak and eggs and make toast and then I leave the kitchen.
That's that.
I don't have to say, who doesn't like, Zahara doesn't feel like eating meat now. Sakai doesn't, like this bread. I bought the wrong bread. But their spirits I miss, that spirit of them. I want it in the house. But I want to kind of have that kind of feeling of the amount of disconnection. And I think post-COVID, I have never gotten back my connections. It went and it's never come back. So I even want to do a kind of a series about that, how we broke something that I don't know if it can be repaired.
Do you mean with the world, with people?
Yeah, I think that the whole COVID made us so fearful of each other. Like, how do you get rid of a year of fear and just say, oh, we're just going to hug everybody now? But I do feel that my house was a vibrant kind of, I had my friends over and I had this and I had that, and there was so much more. It was a home for more than just me, my house. And now it's just a home for me and my kids. You know what I mean? And I feel like I've lost a little bit there. And I'm just trying to figure out how, and that's a self-portrait also, but yeah.
I feel like this COVID conversation, this connection conversation could be an entire episode on its own because there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
But it's interesting not to make this whole segment like on depressing stuff, but I just wanted to point out, like, it's interesting the way you mentioned how grief is not only like death of a person or of a loved one, but it's also other elements like your kids leaving home, you're trying to deal with that form of grief. And it made me remember a podcast I was listening of Adele. Adele does a podcast called Legally Clueless, and she was talking about grief and how we tend to focus on grief of people and not grief of other things like friendships, people like dying, but friendships, you disconnecting with people, that's a different level of grief. Losing a job, you know, and it's really interesting that you kind of touched on that, and I just wanted to mention it here because I don't think a lot of people think of grief that way, and it can manifest in different ways, and how we cope. And as creatives, we cope by doing these personal projects because they're kind of like therapeutic for us.
Yeah.
And that's why we're talking about self-portraiture, because we are like self-reflecting within us on how to heal and move on to the next chapter of our lives. So I just wanted to say something.
And it's also the whole idea of life after death. You know, there's a lot of people who talk about life after death in the idea of the person who has died. But I don't think that they understand that there's life after death, that people go, that the world changes, and we have to keep going in that changed way and adapt to it and sometimes be reminded of the changes, but you're also creating something new, and you're hopeful that whatever you're creating is going to be better. You know, that's a hope. That's, you know, we've got kids. That's the only thing we can hope. What can we? There's no other ways. You know.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that we can hope for is this, that things are going to move. And I think that, you know, my grief stories are, you know, I also want them to be very dynamic and say, I'm not dying from this, but I want you to know that a lot has changed. My table has changed, my house has changed, you know, a lot has changed. And I love self-portraits for that. And Mercy, I can't wait to see yours.
I'll start sharing again.
Yeah, we miss you.
Oh man, I'll be back. A lot to figure out, but you know, transition periods.
I wanted to ask you about your experience of having your work showcased at the One Off Gallery in Nairobi. What did that mean to you as an artist?
I think that we need acknowledgement. Isn't that why we share? Now when we show our work, is, you know, the acknowledgement. It was wonderful. It was really nice. I do feel that my grief series, I think they liked, but there's a large part of my work that I have to come to terms with, that it is viewed as not African enough. You know, it's not. It's, I don't know. It's too bougie. I don't know. So, but it is what it is, you know. I love, the Nest Collective did a book called Not African Enough, because I think that there's a way that our art is supposed to look as Africans. And mine doesn't look like that. You know, I mean, I had somebody say to me, I have to forgive him. I really have to forgive him because I still haven't. And I think it's because I'm still struggling with my watercoloring. But he said to me, why would you do something that old white women do with watercolors?
Oh my God.
But why the violence? You know what I mean? Why the violence?
Yeah.
So I said to him, old white women also use acrylics, my friend, on canvas, like you do. You know, it might not look like your work, but... So I think it was a big deal for me. It was an acknowledgement that I'm an artist and not an African. Like, you know, I don't know what it means to be an African artist, you know. I mean, I am an African artist, but I don't know what it means to be an African artist. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
This reminds me a lot of an interview with Chimamanda Adichie. She said something like this, where that box of being put as an African author.
Artist. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
I'm an author, I'm a writer, period.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because when you say African, there's an expectation of what the work looks like.
Exactly. And it's not supposed to look refined. It's not supposed to look, you know, portraiture, just simple portraits. It's not supposed to look, you know, when I say I want to do kind of Rembrandt lighting and I want it to have that feel, no, You're black African, please. Can you go
What's all
and
that?
get some mud and paka it on your
Oh my God.
face and take a picture of that? You know, I'm just like, but what is upsetting to me is when it comes from us guys.
Yeah.
You know, but it's African, it's Kenyan, man. They're the quickest to talk. You know, they're just it's also the misogyny of, you know, being told my camera is not good enough, being told I have to learn how to do this, being told I have to be able to do that. You know, just that constant thing where I'm like, I'll never make it if I don't have, you know, a full frame Sony blah 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 with this and that and the other. You know, I won't be able to make it if my artistry is not, I don't know, maybe if I just made it look, I just like delicate, soft things.
Yeah.
You know, I keep on telling people, I'm a lamb, I'm not a lion.
Yeah.
I just want to be gentle and
Soft life, please.
Soft life. Why do we have to fight for everything?
Aish.
And can we not reflect that softness in our work?
Right.
You know, and have it soft and gentle and loving and hopeful and wonderful, you know. And yeah, if it's old white women who feel like that, then I'll join their group. You know what I mean?
Not everyday struggle.
Not everyday struggle. Not everyday struggle.
That's true. But you know, I'm hearing you speak about it. It's weird. Those are the references they get. Because they don't see anything else other than that.
No. No.
That's the flip side of it all. Because even
Yeah.
when you're talking about you wanting to do Rembrandt lighting, you've never seen, like, there's no equivalent African version of that.
Why must it be
Yeah.
Rembrandt? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So probably
Or-
you come and say you want a Nairobi light, Nairobi sunshine.
I don't know.
I
But
don't know.
also, all of this has been given to us. All of
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
You know, the watercolors, the oil colors, the acrylics, all of them have been
the
given
cameras.
to us. The cameras, the Adobe Lightroom,
Hey.
the Photoshop. You know, the idea of gardens has been, you know, we have to understand that we are of a colonized mind, but we are still artists. And we can break and we can pretend to break, or we can just enjoy where we're at. And where I'm at, me, it's just soft. Me, I just want gorgeous people looking gorgeous, looking moisturized and hydrated.
Come on,
And
come
my
on.
business. You know, my self-portraits will be the ones where you're like, hey, she lives a hard life. But everything else, no, let it be soft.
Absolutely.
But actually, that's not true, because my self-portraits, I feel, are very soft.
They're
I
beautiful.
think
they're
the
beautiful.
softest
They're
that I
beautiful.
am. Yeah, thank you.
They're layered.
Yeah.
I think this would be a good point to talk about your directing, right? Because we said we would come back to that. So,
Yeah.
directing music videos involves a unique blend of visual storytelling and music interpretation. So, how do you approach the creative process to ensure that the visuals complement and enhance the music narrative?
Well, the videos that I've done are my daughter's, and you know, the music was kind of made here, and I heard it, and I heard it, and I heard it. And when she said, "Would you direct?" You know, we got somebody to shoot, and this is why I speak about the major arcana taking me on a journey, because I don't think I'd have been able to do it at a zero budget if I hadn't been training, doing push-ups, with doing the sets and doing the clothes and doing this and doing that. I don't know how I see it. I don't know. I think the first one was lush green, and it was Maya just thinking about home, and just she was away in the US, and she wrote this song about being at home. So I just put her in the greenest parts of the garden that I could, you know, and learnt on my feet that day and, learned on the next one and learned something more on the next one. And I had hoped to do more directing. I guess they'll come, but I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. It's a lot of work. It's storyboarding. It's understanding, because I almost write it like it's already been cut, so that when it goes to edit, they know exactly, it's pieces of paper that I've put like this. And then I put them together and they know exactly how it's supposed to come together. The look, the feel. And Maya she'll be upset, pissed off about whatever it is. She'll be grumbling. And then I'll say, okay, come on set. And she'll
transform.
She just comes on and she gets it done. Stops and bitches and whatever. But also working with her and her music and, and I think we're both kind of very stubborn about what we think should be done. And putting us together, there's a few sparks that fly, but mostly we both know that we're both needed for it to work. And it has worked beautifully. Yeah, I hope to do more.
Okay.
People who are listening, send me.
Please.
Give me money. And I'll do your music video. I'd love to do another one. There's some that I've listened to the song, I'm like, Maya, please send out your feelers. Can I do this music? There's some songs that I just feel.
Yeah.
I just feel them, And I had said, I had made a deal with Maya that I wouldn't do any more directing for her and, doing any more of her photography. I felt that it was making it too hard for us to be mother-daughter. Because I'm still mom and I'm taking a picture, so you still have to listen to me. She's like, no. And I'm like, well, maybe if you pay me, then you can tell me what to do. But I'm like, it's free. But she did a new song, and I'm like, I can see it. I have the visuals for this. We can have this, and then we can have this. Yeah. I'm going to do it.
You can give the idea. And then just
and give it to somebody.
Yeah, have someone else
see that.
shoot.
And be a helicopter.
A momager.
Yeah, a momager. Yeah.
I think it's so beautiful that you have your children to sort of be your muse and explore your craft through them. A lot of people when they start out, they're like, I have to go and look for people to do these things for, but you have the sort of ready-made within your grasp to use.
Yeah,
and I know
like you, Marcy.
Yes, pretty much. Although saying that, my son is he's very resistant to being photographed and that right now. I've shared this I think a couple of times already, that around the age of 6 I posted a video of him on Instagram and I was like, look, it's doing well, everyone loves it. And he was like, Mommy, can you ask me next time before you post my and he's 6, now he's 9. We did a review of the situation again the other day and I was like, can I post? He was like, no. He just doesn't want his face out there, and he knows that at 9, which very interesting for me. But my daughter is the opposite. She would have a YouTube channel today, so I need to just work with her.
Pull that one. Try and pull them in between so that everything is kind of balanced. Yeah, I worry about online. When I shared Zahara's images, I didn't tag her. Because the world is strange.
Right.
And I don't want people going and finding, And I told her, I'm not going to tag you on any of your images until you're, big enough that we can, unless you want me to handle your Instagram, give me the password so I can, block and report people. But yeah, it's a strange place out there for girls. Sakai doesn't want her image anywhere.
Fair.
Don't want it.
Fair.
Yeah. Maya had to cut back taking selfies. She said that there's a mental condition that comes from taking too many selfies.
Well, I'm sure there is,
Yeah.
especially now.
Dysphoria. There must be a dysphoria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like people, you almost don't recognize yourself outside of that. That's
Yeah.
It's interesting we're having this conversation because I'm loving the fact that our kids are taking stock and recognizing that they should have some kind of agency with regards to their faces being showcased out there.
Yeah.
Because us mom, we want to show off.
Yes.
But at the same time, they're crazies out there. Like they
Right.
take, because now I'm starting to notice, even from accounts with moms who used to showcase their kids, they're now hiding their kids' faces because they've noticed people are taking those images and using them for the wrong things.
Yeah.
And it's really, really scary. And even the other day, we went to the Notting Hill Carnival. I'm going to share this story because I tweeted about it. I was really upset. We were at the carnival with my kids. There were, and I'm going to say, white men with cameras. Not all of them, but white men with cameras walking about taking pictures of kids. Yes, fine. There were kids with costumes who were part of the carnival, which is kind of, I will say, okay. But at this one point, I'm just standing there with my daughter on the sidelines watching the parade go past, and this guy was photographing my daughter.
No.
My daughter it was kind of like drizzling. She was in a hat, a jacket with a hoodie up, and this guy was pointing the camera towards her. I blocked my daughter's face, and I'm like pointing at him like, what are you doing? You know, he looked at me shocked, like like I caught him. But then I realized there are people who were literally in this carnival to take pictures of kids.
Yeah.
What are they going to do with these images?
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck? And then I thought I was, you know, when you post things on social media, sometimes you're like apprehensive about sharing. It's when I shared it there and then I posted it on my stories on Instagram because I tweeted about it. Or is it X now?
X'd about it. Oh gosh.
I tweeted about it and then I shared it on stories, and then somebody else came up and they're not parents and they noticed the same thing.
Oh really?
Yeah. So anyway, story for another day. This can be a whole podcast.
It can be, and I think it should, because a few times now we've touched on this topic of children and photography, and I think we should dedicate an entire episode talking about
honestly
everything that involves it.
Yeah.
And consent.
Absolutely.
And consent.
Yeah. I mean, we teach them to consent in sort of like general terms, but why not for this specific thing? And it's something that a lot of I think mums, not just mums whose subject matter is their children is the subject matter of their work, but mums in general. I mean, just for us to be able to be like, okay, I want to use my kids for my work, but is that okay with them?
Yeah.
It's okay now. What about in the future when they get to be teenagers? Mine especially because of their age. When they get to teenage years and they're a bit more, you know how teenagers are. What if they withdraw their consent at that point? You know, what do you do? Take down all your work?
It's so strange. One of those, I can't remember what the name of the show is. One of those Suits shows. You know the guy from The Blacklist? He used to be a lawyer in another show. Can't remember the name of the show.
Lincoln Lawyer. No, not Lincoln Lawyer.
The
I know
guy
the one.
from
I know the one you mean.
You know the guy.
Yes.
So he used to be, but one of the cases, and I'm remembering that now, was a child that was suing the mother. The mother was a photographer. And I'm remembering that from years ago. And I was like, so interesting.
Yeah.
Then, but now, I remember that he felt they had a conversation, but it must have been based on case law. But she basically made herself as a photographer documenting her life. And her kids and her house and everything. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then, you make millions, and then maybe, there's a museum that wants your work, and your son is like, but not that picture of me.
Yeah. Boston Legal, by the way. Boston Legal.
Boston Legal. Yeah,
I remember
it was
this
in Boston.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah, do you remember it?
Vaguely.
But that was ages ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does make you think.
It does. It does. Yeah.
Let's
should
definitely
sign model
dedicate an episode to this.
You should sign model release forms for them
Yeah.
as their guardian.
Do we need to? Because we're their parents. Do we need to?
Yeah.
We should.
No, we should. Oh, should we?
Should
well,
we?
They can't sign for themselves.
Should we have an entire episode?
We should.
We should.
We should reassemble and do it.
We assemble all the mums and ask them this question about consent, honestly, because it's a really hot topic.
It is.
It is.
But it's nice having to talk to you because we are getting through a lot of things that need to be discussed. I would like to ask you, being a member of these communities that we mentioned in your bio, like African women photographers, Black women photographers, and part of Diversify Photo, is a testament to their impact in photography community. So how has being part of these communities influenced your artistic journey?
I think I've just met different people. I'm looking at work from people that I wouldn't have normally met or seen. Sarah Weiswa, who's the founder of African Women Photographers, the work that I have been able to do with her, and she has an exhibition coming up with Gote in Nairobi in October, and my work is going to be showing there. You know, the Black and White Grief series. Yeah. But the support that you get from your sisters is support that you can't get somewhere else. And I just find that with the black women photographers, it's a lot harder because it's so much bigger. But our Nairobi meetup and group, then you get to know new people and you meet up and you understand, and it's changed not just my photography but kind of my life and the way that I look at it, to know that there's all these Black African women who are out there who are just killing it. They're creating regardless of what they've been told. You know what I mean? And it's wonderful to see.
Okay. So as a recipient of the Adobe Stock Development Fund, could you share how this recognition has shaped your creative pursuits and opportunities?
It changed how I shoot. It completely changed how I shoot. I kind of was in this, straight forward, rule of thirds way of shooting, or maybe the person would turn a little bit. But with the Adobe Stock, because I had to do 500 assets for them.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't even know how I'm going to do that. But if you think about it as me sitting here, this is one shot, that's another shot, that's another shot,
okay.
That's another shot, that's another shot. So it really changed the way that I move, because I discovered with it that there's so many different perspectives. It really taught me that there's so many different perspectives that I was just not, I want to say lazy, but it's not laziness. It's how you're used to doing something till it just, you just kind of, and what Adobe, what it asked me to do is, no, that you can't do 500 of them. You need to kind of move and you need to kind of think about it. And it was wonderful. We went to Meru with models, and it hasn't, I don't see that anybody's looking for me because I was an Adobe Stock recipient. I can't say that it helped me there. But my assets are making some money, so, and the Kenyan shilling against the dollar right now, it has depreciated by 30%. So it's really, it's a wonderful opportunity. I would just tell people, apply. It was a wonderful opportunity. And it taught me so much. It taught me more about what I was capable of as a photographer than any other job that I've gotten since any other project that I've worked on since. It's really wonderful.
That's great.
I love I love the fact that you've said that, is because we sometimes as creatives we get stuck with one idea for the longest time of one way of thinking. That when something comes to disrupt all of that, you think, oh my God, am I good enough, or is this what I'm capable of? You know, it can be both. It can be both elements. Like, am I actually good enough? And then at the same time, you're like, for you, it was like, I am actually capable of more than just this one thing that I'm used to, which is really nice to hear.
At the beginning, I was like, these guys are paying me too much money for this. These guys are paying me too much money. All this money just to do this. At the end, I was like, are these guys paying me enough? Are they actually paying me enough? You know what I mean? It really moved from that to that. And that's, you know, because, I mean, I created some beautiful work. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work. That, I'm so glad that I did. I just, you know, it's so nice. And that people are downloading it and using, you know, images.
Seeing your work out there is great, isn't it?
Yeah. We're gonna share a link to the Adobe fund in our show notes. So please do go have a look at the images. They're really amazing. And support as usual.
Finally, what would you say has been the most rewarding aspect of motherhood and photography combined? And have there been any moments where those two worlds collide that kind of make like for a heartwarming and poignant? I feel like we've already sort of touched on this.
Yeah. I just think that I have the most wonderful children in the world.
I love that.
Motherhood was never a thing that I thought that I would do, you know. And then it's kind of happened, and they're so big and they're so clever, and, you know, and there's challenges, you know, there is challenges, especially when you have 4. It's like, it's hard to balance all of them. Like, there's always one that gets forgotten, you know what I mean? But I think where my photography and my motherhood has come in is when I get to shoot my kids, you know, when they trust me to take their picture, or when they tell their friends, you know, oh, you're Laitan's mom. He told me you're a photographer, and I'm like, really, I'm a photographer now. You know what I mean? It just, those are the times that it really works, you know. Or my daughter Sakai, she's going into year 11, 12. She's going to do her A's, and one of the options was photography, and she was like, no. And I was so sad. But I told her, you don't have to take pictures the way I do.
Absolutely.
You know, it's just me. I that's not what I expect, you know. And then we went to speak to the teacher, and she's going to go on this photography journey that's going to be completely different than mine. And my excitement is, I've always wanted to go to art school. So I'm just going to do year 12 and 13. I'll just do year 12 and 13 photography through
her.
Which is, because it will change something. I mean, if somebody gave me, you know, $1 million today, I would go to art school.
Okay.
It's the first thing I would do. I'd go to art
That's
school.
interesting. That's interesting, because I've watched a few YouTube videos, or, you know, there's been discussions lately. Oh, it's not important to go to art school. You don't have to go to study photography. But for you to say that you would love to have done that, why?
I would love to have.
Yeah.
You know, I was invited to be an assistant with Wangeshi Mutu.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
At her studio here. Where else is that? I don't think I assisted anything. I was just in awe of it. And I asked her about art school. And she said, it might not help with your art. But what it does is it helps you how to speak about your work, which I have a lot of difficulty with that, and how to sell your work. You know, I would hope that if I went to art school, it would break me out of this kind of fear of changing. That, you know, it'd be like Adobe stock on crack. That's what I would want it to be.
So.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I'd want it to really push me and say, you know, come on, Mumbi, you can do better than that. You know, just play as much as you want, and you know, it's for free. I kind of understand those, you know, old white painters who had a guy who paid all their bills, and all they had to
A
do was
patron,
paint.
yeah.
I need a patron. Find me a patron. So keep me in sneakers, you know, and you know, and
Don't we all
what
need
I'm
a patron?
doing.
Because if
What
I
is
did,
it? You know-
9 to 5
Yeah.
where? Please.
Soft life. That's the soft life we're talking
girl,
about.
Soft
man.
life.
traveling the world and living my best
That's
life.
why
That's a dream.
$1 million art school. I wouldn't have to worry about what I create, whether it's going to sell or it's not going to sell. I'll learn how, you know, and just I would love to know what the limit. I mean, I know I'd never get to the limit, but I'd love to give it a good try. Yeah.
It's interesting because Mercy and I have both gone to art schools.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you have.
But
Here I am.
I love my
take-
art school experience. I loved it.
mine is mixed.
Loved it.
Mine is
Yeah.
mixed. But my takeout from hearing you speak about the whole, what Wangeshi was saying about what experiences you gain, it won't improve on your art, which I agree. I kind of agree, but it improves on, because you have to present your work. You have to take on critique from your peers. Networking is a big thing, which I totally get and I totally appreciate. And also a lot of research, which we
A
tend...
lot of research.
Well, you can tell the people who've gone through art school and who haven't, kind of, because of the research, sometimes of the research that comes behind their work.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like I could say, probably 70% of the work
Really?
was research.
It's
Yes.
research. Wow.
It's
Because you had to
research.
spend months prepping before you sort of even... The creation of the work then became like a fraction. But you
Yeah.
have to have the concept. You know, you have to research what came before. What came before.
Why.
Context.
I would love
You
to
know?
because I am a very impatient person. Can you imagine? And I do watercolors when it's raining, and I'm very impatient, and I want to learn that patience. I want to think about things 100%, and also allow my gut to, you know, not depress it at all.
Yeah.
But when I see a lot of these awards being given out, it's like art school. I'm like, there's nobody here self-taught who is winning these huge awards.
Debatable. Debatable. But yeah.
I think things are changing a lot because photography, art, I wouldn't say art, let me say photography specifically, is so much more accessible now. You don't have to go to uni or anything to study it. Those of us who did felt like we had to. I don't know about you, Elsie, but there wasn't anything else that I was going to study at that time. I was going to study photography because I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a photographer. So why would I go and study, I don't know, business or whatever else? Why not study the thing, the thing that I'm truly passionate about? And I don't know if I had a mentor or someone that carried me along with them that I would have gone to spend all the money that I did to go to university and I spend a lot of time playing, doing research and doing all the other things that you can do. I loved my experience, by the way. I would never trade it for anything. But I realized that if my kid came now and they wanted to do the same thing, maybe we have more options. We have more options to explore now. Is it better for you to maybe go and study under a master, and someone who will teach you the business side and the art side? Because a lot of stuff that we're lacking as people who went to uni that studied is the business side of things, because there was a lot of focus on the theoretics and the art, the creating. You had lots of space to play, that there wasn't enough focus on the making money aspect of things, How do you actually sell the work and make the money and make a living that meant that you didn't have to then go off and get a unrelated 9 to 5 to be able to keep bodies all together. So there was that. That won't be everyone's experience, obviously, but that's a very common thread that I've heard from people who went to school. I agree. Is that they came out not being business savvy at all, And
it's not just business as well, because you can find like the other aspect of it is the art side, like how to negotiate contracts, how to speak about exhibitions, how to put things on the wall. Yes, you will do those within your course, but merging that with the business side, because how do you do all of that? There's none of that. And that's why people charge a lot of money for these talks. Come, I show you how to do an artist statement. 750 pounds.
Yeah.
Dude. I mean, because they know there's a gap in the market. But anyway.
I think this would be an interesting conversation to have with a course leader. And see how they're tailoring these degrees and these courses to fit today's market or today's industry, because some of the courses just don't cut it. They don't. They're not doing enough to prepare the students. But I think we've gone off on a tangent, haven't we?
Which is fine.
Nah, I'm loving this conversation.
I love it. But to end, the final question. If you were not a photographer, and if you were not a director, and if you were not a painter, because you've touched on all of those.
Or a farmer.
Or mom. That's not... Yeah, this question is, if you are none of those things, what would you be?
Oh my goodness. I'd be a potter. I really want to go. I want to do pottery.
Okay.
Let's see. I'll do pottery.
Oh. Is this
on the wheel
from and everything as well?
On the wheel. I would love to. There's this guy that I'm following and I'm just like, what are you doing?
Magic.
Will I ever learn how to do that? I'm going to go for it. There's a place down the road that does, and I'll go and throw and see. But I would love to. I'd love to. I think it's always something with my hands, isn't it? Yeah, but I would love to do pottery. Delicate or chunky or,
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah.
I feel like whenever we ask this question, I feel like whenever we ask this question, creatives stay in the creative. No one's saying I'd be a doctor or something. I don't know.
Oh my God, no.
No?
Well, there have been times when I've thought if I had the energy, I think I would do something like osteopathy. My friend is an osteopath.
Okay.
Or homeopath or something. I would do osteopathy because she's just got these beautiful healing hands. But no, pottery. Let's do pottery.
We've circled back.
Everything else would just take too long. I feel everything else would just take everything is going to take long.
True.
But you can do little bit as you're going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'd love to do pottery.
Mumbi, thank you so much for coming to our podcast. Yeah.
I'm sure you'll be back. If not here, like this, definitely in Kenya.
So, yes, please come. We're here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I really had so much
too.
fun. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Take good care.
Take care now.
Right,
Bye.
bye. So if you're interested in joining the conversations, we have a Google form you can fill out in our show notes. If where you're listening to this podcast does not support show notes, you can find the form on our website, www.photomamapodcast.com.
And if you have any questions, you can email us at photomamapodcast@gmail.com. Also, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at photomamapod. Catch you on the next episode.